Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Mental Health Awareness right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Mohan Ranga. And we're going to be talking about a life of seeking and seeing and surrender. He's got two books that we're going to be talking about. Myopia, A Father's Journey into Love, Loss, A Sight Beyond Vision, and Inner Trek, A Reluctant Pilgrim's Journey to Tibet. But we're going to be talking about grief, which is something that I think, grief people think that grief is just when you lose somebody, but grief can cover so many things. And he said it isn't just something you get over, especially when it comes to the unique and soul-shattering pain of losing a child. It becomes a companion, sometimes silent, sometimes screaming, but always present. Faith, once simple and unquestioned, often morphs into suffering, shifting, deepening, or even breaking before it rebuilds. Relationships too, they must be rewoven. A loss strains connections, reshapes how we relate to others. The myth of healing as a destination and the assistance of positivity can feel like a betrayal to the real raw emotions that come with mourning. Numbness, confusion, emotional disorientation can take over, especially when you're parenting while processing trauma. Walking the line between being present of your children and the drowning of your own sorrow. Yet, within that darkness, a strange light can flicker, purpose found in a spite of pain, and because of it, real resilience doesn't deny emotion. It holds space for it, even when it hurts. And in the quieter suffering, profound truths often rise, truths that transform, not erase, the person you were before. Ranga Rao never imagined that he would become a writer. He was an entrepreneur, building a business, chasing success, grounded in the world of numbers, strategy, and ambition. He followed a structured, intentional path until that path collapsed beneath him. His daughter, Yogita, was born blind, a moment that shattered every expectation he had about fatherhood, love, and the future. What followed was not just a medical journey, but an emotional and existential one. He had to unlearn everything he thought about strength, masculinity, and success. He had to sit in the discomfort of uncertainty, in the shame of societal judgment, and in the raw, unfiltered love of a father that could not fix his child. And just as he was beginning to understand what it meant to see beyond the vision, she was gone. This is what we're talking about today. Love, loss, grief, not overcoming, but transforming in a many way, right? Grief transforms us into being a different person. We celebrate the life that we've lost, but at the same time, we lose a part of ourselves through that grief. And it's a transformation of resilience and transforming into someone else, carrying them with us, but becoming a different person in many ways. Welcome to the show, Mohan.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me with you.
A child being born blind already, as you said, can be because your anticipation when a child is on the way, what will they be? How will they grow up? What will their character be? What adventures are they going to have in life? And then when a child is born, or with any other challenges, it is you start seeing all the challenges and the obstacles that are in their way. And it's hard to see any of the positives. Many people who are blind live very fruitful, productive, wonderful lives. But as a father, when you first see that, you really only see the obstacles, don't you?
Yep, you're right, Sarah. When I held my 4-day-old daughter in my hand, I had 22 nephews and nieces. Yogita had 22 cousins. I have 6 brothers, 2 sisters. We are a large family. I had never ever met a blind person in my life. I had
Mm,
only seen them from a distance. And I was used to talking to babies, holding 4-day-old babies in my hand, and their eyes would somehow not see everything, but they would be responsive. You could see the life in their eyes. And here I was holding my daughter, and she didn't open her eyes. And my brother had come with me to the eye clinic. He flashed the camera flashlight in her eyes, and there was no reaction from the pupil. So he took me to a coffee shop and started telling me, and I started to break down. And he did not use the B word because he
Mhm.
didn't want to use it. He just said that, Mohan, some things are not fair in life. There's nothing that I can do about it. And I realized that my daughter was blind.
Mhm.
But I didn't share that with my wife because I didn't want to accept it initially, that maybe he is wrong, maybe there is a hope, maybe it's only 4 days old, or how can he make out such a young age? Because the doctor prescribed eyeglasses. It is a severe myopia, minus
Mhm.
20, something like that, minus 20 myopia, that's all, coloboma and things like that. So I didn't give up hope, but I was shattered. That was a shock of my life. And then I went home, and I had never experienced grief in my life up until that moment. The closest that I had come to was when my father died when I was 22. But my father was so much older than me, he was more like my grandfather because
Mhm.
my eldest sister is 22 years older than me.
Mhm.
He was married before I was born, and my mother was 40 when I was born. So I had not experienced grief. I was a kind of a go-getter. I was a blue-eyed boy of the family. I was an engineer with distinction. I did my master's in MBA from Mysore University, and I diversified successfully into new businesses, made a lot of foreign trips, went to Europe to give. The happiest moment was when gave tuberose absolute to a company called Christian Dior, who came out with a perfume called Poison. The
Mhm.
poison had a tuberose absolute in it, which you get only from India. Tuberose is cultivated only in India. So I was on the top of the world, having gone to the best of best friends in Europe and having it all. So I never ever anticipated anything like this. So when I discovered that she could be blind, it was a shock mixed with fear, mixed with uncertainty, mixed with a kind of a listlessness and a kind of a hopelessness about the future. And then the question started, why me?
Mhm.
See, the why me is the ubiquitous question that everybody gets.
Mhm.
And so I ruled out one after the other. I started ruling out. My wife was 19 when I met her. She was 20 when Yogita was born. So my wife was extremely pure and simple from very good values. So I ruled her out. Then I said, so there are philosophical answers, there are spiritual answers, there are scientific answers, there are so many perspectives and platforms to it as we think now. But at that time, only one thing occurred and flashed to my mind, self-blame.
Mhm.
It said it is had to be something that I have done in my life. It's got to be something that I did in my past because it cannot be anything but divine retribution. There is no way that God can be so cruel as to make a helpless baby blind by birth.
Mhm.
So was it? So I started questioning, was it the kind of life that I had? I was the arrogant. I used to fight with my elder brothers about business. We had some big, frequent business squabbles. Then I used to party a lot. I had many friends, had many girlfriends and things like that. So I somehow felt that it was something that I had done in my past, because of arrogance, that this divine retribution had happened. So initially, it was a lot of grief coupled with self-pity, sadness to the baby, a kind of helplessness. It was very difficult for me to process it. And I was
Mhm.
30, I just turned 31 5 months before that. And it was the hardest part of my life. That is the day that is etched in my memory. It can never ever become brown. It will always be green and green and green. And then, of course, came the news when I came to Mayo Clinic that she was born blind and that she had no optic nerves.
Mhm.
So the doctors in India were fooling me all the time. That maybe they didn't know, or they didn't tell me, didn't have the courage, or we were foolishly putting glasses on her. And then the second shock was when the doctor wanted to talk to me alone in Mayo Clinic, Rochester. It's still so green in my memory that his name was Hoberger. He was a pediatric ophthalmologist. He asked Mamta to wait outside with Yogita. And they said, so they did all the genetic counseling, they did the chromosome test, they did blah for about 3, 4 days, and then they ruled out any genetic abnormality because the chromosome test came out normal. They did a test
Mm-hmm.
on me, test on Mamta and everything. After the whole works, after 5 days, he called me inside and made Mamta and the baby wait outside and said, do you mind if we take out the baby's eyeballs? Now I see that is something that was something like that I could not even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why? I said, we see kind of a mass in the right eye. We want to make sure that it is healthy, and also we want to keep the eyes for research. And
Mm-hmm.
there is no way that I could
Yeah.
go outside, my wife sitting there waiting with some hope that there will be some kind of an artificial eye or a miracle cure. And if I had to go and tell her that they want to take out the eyeball, I never told her. I never told
Mm-hmm.
her anything. And that was the second shock. Then, but after 3, 4 months, we started to realize, left to herself, she was very happy after 6 months because she didn't know what she was missing.
Right, exactly.
If she had seen something and then if she had stopped seeing, then she would have been miserable.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she didn't see from the very start meant that she was not missing anything. She didn't know what she was missing.
Mm-hmm.
So she was extremely happy, extremely pretty. And so we became very happy. The only thing, whenever we went out, when she was 3 months or 4 months, and looked at other kids turning the eyes, turning the faces, looking at things, Mamta would immediately burst out crying, and I would start sobbing, and we would come running back. So we stopped going to temple, we stopped going to outside world, we became like a cocoon. And we were very, very happy before by ourselves. But if we went outside, people would look at the baby and what is wrong with her?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
then
The
give
prejudices.
some would stare, some, what is she like that since birth? Like
Mm-hmm.
that. So we stopped going out and we were happy. The three of us had a wonderful, wonderful time. And after the Mayo Clinic shock, then came another shock when she was around 2 years that she could not speak. She was speechless because we went to an institution called All India Institute of Speech and Sciences, which is the best in Asia. And they did, her hearing was excellent, her comprehension was excellent, but somehow, just like the optic nerve, something was neurologically missing between her expression to speak and her brain.
Mm.
So the closest she ever came to was dil, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she was very, very happy. So we discovered when she was 2 years that she could not speak, but she could walk around, explore. She would be up all night. And so then again, Mamta took the most courageous decision ever of having another child. And Rachita was born when Yogita was 2.5, and Rahul was born when Yogita was 7. And life was fantastic. And the third bolt from the blue came when Yogita, who had never even had as much as a running growth as a fever, suddenly started getting fever. She had one bout of fever, followed by another, and followed by another. On the onset of third, the pediatrician said, go get her blood test done. And it's hard for me to recount what happened at the pathology lab. You should read the book, and I'll stop it at that. So this all happened, well, 36 years ago, and she died 27 years ago, 28,
Mm.
this December it will be 28 years. Now, looking back, if I had asked Mohan at that age, he would have said, no, I don't think I'm going to live through this. I don't think I'm going to survive after having gone through all this. But now, looking back, if I were to live it again and again, over 100 times, I would live the whole thing again and again over 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Because today I am what I am because of the grief, because
Yes.
of the suffering, because it was now I realize I can only now connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I keep saying, in Hinduism, we have a saying that people who leave this planet very, very early, like children before the age of 10, there are only this much of karmic balance left to get over with. So when you get over all the karmic balances, you get what is called as moksha, the salvation. You go to God. You say you join one with the Brahman. So there's no more rebirth for you.
Mm,
So what we say is any children, any child that dies early is God.
mm,
So like we keep the portraits in the prayer room. So Yogita was like an angel, a goddess sent to kind of edify me, transform my
mhm,
family, make a difference in the society, pass on a message, and make a dent in the world. The
mhm,
purpose was so now, and I after she passed away, I never thought of writing. I never thought of doing anything. I just started the easiest thing to do for a comfortably placed man is to give away money. Giving away money, charity is the easiest thing. I would not say stupidest thing, but the easiest thing to
mhm.
do. Just sign your check and give it because you have enough, you just give what you have. But to make a difference in the world, it takes a lot more than that. I didn't
Yes.
realize that. And it so happened that there was an emptiness always in me. I never saw any purpose. I built brands, I sold brands, I made billions of dollars. I built a high class, world class pharmaceutical facility that made a drug called praziquantel, that's the only company in the world making that removes a particular worm that gets into the brain.
Mm,
That comes from asparagus, some of the worms. So if it gets into the brain, there is no way to kill it except using this particular drug. It is very common among people in Africa and China where they eat a little bit of raw meat. Okay.
right.
So this praziquantel is given away free by WHO, and we have a EMERC approved pharmaceutical facility. So I was deep down in that, for businesses of incense and all that. And then in 2014, when I turned 56, I thought this is up. I mean, I think there was an emptiness. I didn't see any purpose at all, like chasing money, chasing power,
Mm,
deadline, and working on a board, being answerable. I didn't get the environmental clearance, so I would be worried about going to Delhi and things like that. So I said I'm going to take a break. And in 2014, I exited all my businesses and I started trekking, and Mamta, my wife, joined me. In fact, she was one of the ones to also motivate me. And we
mhm.
started trekking in the Himalayas and in the Western Ghats. And we did our 20 to 25 treks. And in 2016, Mamta, like I returned like as a reluctant pilgrim because I was basically, even I'm a rationalist.
Mhm,
It may sound very cliched, but I was deep into spirituality, but I never followed religion.
mhm,
I was not, doing rituals or doing prayers or doing any of the things. Though I am a South Indian Brahmin by birth, and wear my holy thread now that I'm 58. But I didn't do any of the rituals
mhm,
ever. And she wanted to see Mount Kailash. Now, Mount Kailash is in Tibet. Lake Manasarovar on Mount Kailash is at 19,000 feet altitude. The tip of Mount Kailash is 26,000 feet, about 2,000 feet less than Mount Everest.
wow.
And that is a holy shrine because in Hinduism we have what is called the Linga, the Shiva, Lord Shiva is called the Adiyogi. Adiyogi, he is the first practitioner of yoga. So he is
Mhm,
called Adiyogi. And this particular Mount Kailash is a holy shrine for over 2 billion people in the world.
mm,
Hindus, Buddhists, Tibetan Buddhists, Buddhism, and Jains. The Jains believe that the 24 Tirthankara got his enlightenment there. So it's
mhm,
a highly, highly revered place, and we wanted to go there, and she wanted to go there. So she booked, and we went. And I was pretty fit, so I was pretty confident. I did the trek, 30-mile trek in under 14 hours, in 2.5 days.
wow.
And yeah, and one of the group members, you should read that book, Sarah. I will love it because it has all the detail. Many people have appreciated that. I really. And when a lady from Mumbai called me, but anyway, coming back, why I wrote that book, I never wrote that book. When I
Mhm,
came back from Mount Kailash, most of the ladies, Mamta's friends, started, how was your experience?
mhm,
Did you get any awakening? Did you see anything? Did you see the divine
mhm,
lights and things like that? I mean, it was 100% transformative. I was completely a changed man. You can even see from the picture in the book, the last day of I look enlightened. There is a glow in my face, which I myself find surprising.
mhm.
But I wouldn't call that like a great guru that I got enlightenment, a sudden awakening. I felt when in the universe. Yeah, there's an extremely special feeling that I'd never felt anywhere before. When I
Mm-hmm.
saw the north face of the Mount Kailash, and it was transformative, and it was a fantastic experience, highly energetic. So when everybody started answering me, I started getting wary of saying the same thing over and over again. So what I did, I sat down and wrote about 25,000 words about my experience and
Mm-hmm.
I made about 100 copies and gave it to my people who were interested. And I said, wow, this is so good. I think you should write a book. And then I started writing, and then I started getting into the details of chapter by chapter. And then it came to 68,000 words. Then I casually sent it to an American editor, and he said, it's fantastic. You should make a book. And then she reduced it, and from 68,000 words, it came to 49,000 words. So I really cannot say that I wrote the book. That's what I keep saying, the kind of a non-doership. I was kind of maneuvered and orchestrated into writing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it flew through. I mean, it was like a river flowing through,
Yes.
like it just came through, and I just started
It's
writing, and
channeling. It's been a conduit for the book, right?
exactly.
Yes. Yes.
I was a conduit of the book, and then the book was very well written. The most touching moment for me, when the biggest book reviewer in India with over 200,000 followers called me up. She is around 36. Her name is Neelam Sharma. She had polio since birth. She is wheelchair bound,
Mm-hmm.
and said,
Have a sip of water there.
and she said, Mohanji, thank you. She started crying. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. You took me to Mount Kailash with your hand. You
Right.
showed me Mount Kailash. It's my dream to go there. Thank you so much. I'm not calling you as a book reviewer. I'm calling you as your fan. Thank you for writing this book you showed me. So it
Well, you
was a,
gave him an experience, right, that he couldn't have
yeah.
himself.
So that was the most satisfying, not
Mm-hmm.
book sales, not the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Here I did get 120 reviews on Amazon. It has a 4.5 rating on Goodreads and all that. But what gave me satisfaction was this from the lady. And the lady came down from Hyderabad to meet me and see my face and Mamta's face after reading the book. And she spent an evening with us and she was very happy. She's a storyteller from Hyderabad. So these are the things that made me. So I was the kind of chiseled in, puppeteered into becoming a writer by a puppet, what do you call? I was like a puppet, like this. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, on the strings.
Yeah. So, and then here I was with a book in my hand, and then people were always curious about, and they were to know about what happened with Yogita and all the things that I went through, how I faced it. It was hell. I can't even imagine what you went through, Mohan.
Mm-hmm.
Things like so. I wanted to. One thing, the two biggest things that Yogita taught me, gratitude, is a
Yes.
to be grateful. And you know what? Gratitude and empathy, two things she taught me. Gratitude. Let me ask you a question, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to ask you, what are you grateful for in your life? You would say, I am thank the Lord, I have a roof over my head,
Mm-hmm.
a loving family, I have food on my plate, I have friends. But tell me, have you ever thanked the Lord for your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
for your organs being intact, for your ears, for your nose that you can smell the flowers? There's
Mm-hmm.
so many people who cannot smell, so many
Mm-hmm.
people who cannot see, so
Mm-hmm.
many people. So when we write a gratitude list, we should
Yes.
start with our body first.
Right.
Because out of a million, even if 100 people do not have, you are not one of those 100 people. Are you ever grateful that you were blessed God by the God that you have everything intact and so healthy? So start there first when you write the balance sheet of your life,
Yeah.
not with the money you have or the house that you have, but
No,
the
no,
body.
no.
No.
No, it's the value, I mean, and like, so many people are given challenges in life, whether it's at birth or later on in life. I've interviewed people with no arms. I've interviewed people that are blind. I've interviewed people. I can't do deaf, obviously, because that's
Of course.
harder to do.
Hmm.
You know, my
Though it is inevitable.
It could be a different challenge that. But my own grandson has Down syndrome. And
Oh,
and when that diagnosis came in, my daughter literally had the diagnosis came in the day before her birthday. And the next day she posted something on social media, and there she had her son kissing her pregnant belly, in the picture, and saying, like, I have cried for the last 2 weeks, on this. But she said, when I get down on the ground and I'm playing with my son, I won't see him as a child with Downs. I will see him as my child. Right. And he's about to turn 2, and yes, he's behind on walking. Yes, he's behind on things, but it doesn't bother him. He is a happy, rambunctious, got his own opinion little boy, and he is so much love. And his older brother, who's 2 years older than him, is his doting brother, and she's actually expecting another one. We don't know what hand we're going to be dealt. And the one thing that we don't need is any shame or blame or judgment from anybody out there that's not in our
yeah,
shoes,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Instead, compassion and understanding. It isn't, oh, shame. It's like, okay, all right, the child's going to have challenges. With Down syndrome, we don't know what other obstacles he's going to face. Will he be verbal? Will he not be? I've interviewed people with children who are autistic, some of them non-verbal, some of them gone on to being writers or game developers or this or that. It's always looking at, in life, we have challenges, that things that we lose the ability to do. As you get older, folks, that definitely happens. But
absolutely. Yeah.
when we look at our children, don't look at the loss of what they have. Look at who they are in who they are. And with your child, right, couldn't speak, couldn't see, but happy, right? She didn't know what she couldn't see. She didn't know what she couldn't verbalize. The joy was there. And she was here to be that angel on earth, to ignite that joy within you. And then her time was done. And it was time for her to move on.
Yes.
It wasn't to punish,
No.
it wasn't to condemn, it wasn't to pass any, you've done something wrong. It was, you were entrusted with this soul and the
Yes.
challenge that this child faced. For what? For you to learn
Exactly.
how precious
Exactly.
life is, what a gift
Mm-hmm.
life is. And it's not what we don't have, it's what we do have.
That's right. See, here's the thing, Sarah. It's not pity that they need. It's
Not
not
at all.
sympathy, not
Mm.
sympathy, but empathy.
Compassion, yes, but not
So
pity.
when you say pity, you know why? If you pity something or somebody like that, you're being arrogant and you're putting yourself in a platform, in a pedestal,
Yes.
and you're judging them and say, "Oh, I have all this. Poor you."
Yeah.
See, that pity is something like self-serving.
Hmm.
It's not so. On the other hand, empathy is something you completely disregard the
Absolutely.
disability.
Hmm.
So, this is one thing that I learned from Yogita, which I always advocate to everybody I meet. Treat every person who is differently abled as
Hmm.
if they're absolutely the same.
Exactly.
Go them, pat
Yes.
them on their back,
Yes. Love them.
pinch them on their cheek, pull
Yeah.
their hair, pull their legs, joke with them, talk to them as you would with any other child without an iota of sympathy because universe and God has made perfections and imperfections. It is you who has called it imperfection.
Yes.
It is you who have
Exactly.
labeled it perfection.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you pity something, you're putting yourself in a higher pedestal
All
and
right. And
you're
treating them as less than.
exactly
Exactly.
so you
But
this
there's also the thing is, like, when something is taken away, there is a different sense. And what we ask people to do, and I do in my coaching, is, close your eyes, step out into the abyss, blind, deaf, and dumb, in order to see, hear, and feel. And that very often when we close our eyes, we actually see more. People that don't have the eyes to see, that are blind, their sensory is picking things up. And
no
they're
not
seeing from the inside out, not from their eyes. The eyes aren't deceiving. Very often they deceive us. They're seeing things, maybe not in color, not in the same shape and size, but they're seeing things through feeling, through connection, through the little fiber optics that are out there. And ask them what they see. They'll make a joke of being blind, right? But ask them what they see because they're seeing something that we're unable to see. It's the same with
No,
a person who's deaf.
the
They're
main,
hearing
yeah,
through feeling. It's like what sensory of theirs has come up in a way, and how do they perceive life? Let's inquire more rather than, you know, judge.
yeah. I say this, I feel that completely deaf people or blind people hear whispers of the soul that we people cannot hear.
Exactly.
We can, if you don't have eyes, you don't form any judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Black, brown, white, fair, pink, dress, height, nothing. You have no judgments.
Right.
So you don't make any labeling. You don't stereotype.
Yes.
Okay? This only look at like Yogita used to see things with her fingers. It's just a different way of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
She could
Mm-hmm.
sense with through her fingertips. So if we gave her textures, she could make out which is good, which is bad.
Mm-hmm.
She had her own world and her own things, list of things that she was able to connect and relate to. And there is no way that we could ever know.
Right.
It's like I used to keep wondering what kind of dreams would Yogita be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I could never figure it out because what do blind children dream? If they dream, what is the kind of dream that Yogita would be dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
But then she showed me what tenderness is, and she would go for taste, smell,
Mm-hmm.
footsteps, and one thing that we can never ever do, as we can see that they see that we don't see, is the energy.
Mm-hmm.
They can make out what level kind of energy that they can make out the dimension that we people with vision can never see.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you call it aura, you call it negative energy, you
Mm-hmm.
call it positive energy. So they can tell, and even people who pity them, they can sense them from a mile.
Yes.
They're
Absolutely.
they're so perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the things that Yogita came in my life, and now, and but here's the thing, Sarah. So when I like I keep telling in the book also, and when you're undergoing hardship, I don't want to call it suffering because suffering is a reaction and suffering is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
But for want of a better term in English, I have to use the word suffering. But I want to, as much as possible, not use the word suffering. I would rather use the word hardship
Or
because,
even struggle, because it can be a struggle, but you don't have
yeah.
to
So
suffer in that struggle.
exactly. So when your events happen that are testing or adversity, it is very difficult to look at it in any other way because you're being myopic.
Yes.
So that is why I called my book Myopia. Myopia runs both ways. One, inside the person who is facing the hardship, and the societal myopia, who cannot
Mm-hmm.
understand anything beyond what they see. Okay. And, but when
Because
you look,
I would add societal in the
yeah,
sense of everything being, instead of looking at the common denominator of our energy and the flow of the harmony and the orchestra that we can create together, we become this judgmental. You belong here, you belong there. If you're not like me, then there's something wrong with you. And it becomes about tearing apart instead of harmonizing together.
that's right. We have binary and categorization, good, bad,
Mm-hmm.
negative, positive, and things like that. But like you rightly pointed, one of the few ladies, so I'm happy and so happy to learn that you have identified that you can connect the dots only retrospectively.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're undergoing that, whatever people say, like this too shall pass as a reason and all that, you are being so myopic, you will blame yourself, you will be
Mm-hmm.
angry. So you have to, unless you are prepared, spiritually and psychologically equipped to handle the hardship,
Yes.
you will end up suffering.
Mm-hmm.
You end
Yeah.
up what is suffering? If, like I said, if there is pain, there is an instinctive mental reaction of screaming, tears. But with the pain, if there is anger, self blame, self pity,
Mm-hmm.
jealousy on others that they don't have pain, that is
Mm-hmm.
suffering.
Yes.
You
It's all
bring about
choice.
it's your choice. So you bring it upon yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And the other thing that I was surprised when only this time when I came to the US, I coincidentally, as Carl Jung said, there are no coincidences. There are only cosmic
No, no.
orchestra,
Yes.
cosmic synchronicity, he said. As
Mm-hmm.
I was reading, I was shocked to find out that even Christianity propagates the fact that the God is in you, the Holy Spirit is in you.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Holy Spirit in you, who is the reason for all the hardships that has been put forward, if you suffer, he suffers with you.
Exactly.
He
And
is
does
in
he want
you.
you to suffer? No. He will
Yeah,
always give you a solution.
you
He
cry.
will always show you the reason behind it if you're willing to step out of suffering and
Mhm.
go into show me the path before, surrender and
Yes,
allow, right?
and yes, trust,
Yes,
trust, trust, self-trust, self-belief that you can do it. You're strong enough. It
exactly.
doesn't.
And
It
you're
doesn't
not
need.
alone.
Yeah,
The force is with you.
yeah. You can cry your heart out. See,
Yes,
the other thing that is like one of my very close friends was telling, they treat in the West grief as if it's a pathological disorder. It's grief is something that is so natural. Grief
yeah,
is not bad.
no.
So it's not something that is to be used in a negative term. So,
And it's not
the-
out to get you or punish you, it's a part
yeah,
of life.
yeah, exactly. So these are the lessons that I learned that now I've become an advocate for grief and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm propagating it by two ways through my book called Myopia and
Mm-hmm.
another enterprise that I started with other partner. It's called Amopia, and where the main positioning slogan is suffering is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
has it has 13 principles, and it says grief is good, betrayal is a blessing, disappointment is divine, bad luck is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that we have written down 13 principles which highlight why things happen and what is the takeaway from it. So here's the thing I want to tell all your listeners, Sarah, that if you look back on your life,
Mm-hmm.
you all the joys and all the happy moments and the roller coaster rides you had with your kid and the cruise that you had with your husband, all the great memories. But they are memories, great joyous memories that you can keep in the showcase. You took nothing away from it. But
Exactly.
if you look at the betrayals, if your disappointments, if your failures, and the hardship that you faced, you always took out something out of it. If it is a bit
Exactly.
if it is a
Exactly.
beat if there is a betrayal, it should do corrected your path and sent you to the right person. If there's a disappointment like a job loss or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it corrected your course and put you in the right direction. If you are today what you are, it is not because of the joyous moments that you had. Of course, I'm not taking away any credit from that, but it is because of the sacrifices that you have made, empowered yourselves, that you have made yourself, the strength and resilience that you have built with your sufferings so far
Absolutely.
from your
Abs-
betrayal, from your
yeah.
disappointment. But have you sat and any day expressed gratitude to your suffering, to your hardship? No.
No.
Is there a world hardship day? If there is a world hardship day, nobody will come. They'll
Right.
call me,
Exactly.
they'll call me a crazy guy. Who is this guy who wants
Mm-hmm.
to go has a fetish for hardship? I don't have a fetish for hardship or an affinity for hardship, but you have no idea how these things chisel you into what you are today.
And some people step into suffering because something happens to them, and then they kind of get attention and continue and decide to become a victim of their suffering because they're
Abs-
getting attention. And at some point we have to take onus of that. And nobody goes through life without something happening to them. Now, a loss of a child, nobody ever wants to go through, no parent. But everybody I've ever interviewed that's lost a child has always said what it gave them, and generally a redirection onto a different path, generally taking in the name of that child what they've learned and illuminating that to share it with others, right? There is nothing that we're given that is so absolute that we cannot transform from it, that we cannot grow from it. And that, yes, we need to grieve something we've lost. I've lost quite a few people in my life. And I'm a little bit, as a spiritist, I look at the mourning is for my loss of them in my life. But I don't cry the fact they've gone because their spirit has gone home. Right. For me, they're not in pain anymore. They're not in suffering anymore. They are back with the universe as a whole beautiful divine spirit. What I'm crying for it or what I'm mourning is the loss of them in my actual life. And we should mourn that because it's also honoring the impact they had on our life. It's respect of, I will really miss this person and their contribution to my life. But it isn't like I mourn now and then forget them. It's I mourn now, the tears are done. How do I take them with me on my journey of life? How do I bring the essence of the joy that they brought to me and incorporate it in my life so I can continue to share that joy forward? It's transforming the
Yes,
pain
yes,
and the anguish into something that becomes
yes.
illuminating and empowering to others.
Hmm. Yeah, here is the thing again about loss of a near and dear one. You also have to realize that when you lose somebody, you look upon the life, celebrate all the good moments that you had with them,
Mm-hmm,
the joy of life,
mm-hmm.
and that you have to recognize that also that you are missing them, you are losing them.
Yeah.
Now, the person who is gone is gone. The
Yes.
person is gone, but there's no way that he will be sad or he will be happy or whatever. But the person who has lost, there's a deep sense of loss. Now, here is the thing which I always question deep and time and again. What is it that I'm really missing? Am I being selfish? Is it a sense of loss? If I lost a pen in high school, I would cry. Did I feel sorry for the pen? No.
Mm-hmm,
I felt sorry for myself for having lost the pen.
mm-hmm.
So I lose a person in my life. Do I feel sorry for the person I have lost? Or do I feel sorry for myself?
Yeah.
No, I feel sorry for myself as well as the joyous moments that I had with him or her that I'm not going to have anymore.
You're right.
Oh, okay, it's more about you then, not more than you, more than the dead person, it is about you. I said, no, 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 it's not about me. I can't stand her not having her in my life anymore. Oh, then again it comes back to you. So
Yes.
there is this big dichotomy, you know.
Yeah.
So what happens is, so the answer I sought, when Yogita was gone, there was sadness, there was relief. Again, when there was relief that her suffering was gone because she died
Mm-hmm.
of cancer, she was
Yeah.
like she was like a skin wrapped, shrink wrapped skeleton. She was like skeletons. I could count the number of bones on her chest because she was bleeding. Stage 4
Oh,
cancer. It was terrible. She died
mm,
within 3 months, puking blood and everything.
poor thing.
Yeah. So there was a relief that the suffering was gone. Then
Exactly.
there was guilt that there was relief.
Mm-hmm.
There was self-blame. There was a time
Right.
when a week after she died, I had not thought of her 1 week and I started crying. How could you do this to
Mm,
yourself? You
mm,
have no business to forget her within a week.
yeah.
I written all that in the book. So it's a grieving, a grief is kind of a never-ending process. The degree varies, it keeps on coming less and less, but it never goes away. Keeps taking
No,
different shapes.
it does. And it comes up in different ways. Like my father died when I was 11. And I remember going past the room, where he lay, and I went up to my mother. And I don't, I'm a knowingness person, so I speak in the knowingness even if I don't understand it. And I said to my mother, God took the one that was the weakest and left the one that was the strongest. Now I didn't really comprehend really what I was saying, right? But in my father, in a lot of ways, had kind of given up. He was a racing car driver. He was a fighter pilot. In everything about his life was right. So when he had been given a diagnosis, instead of like, I need to change my lifestyle, I need to do this, it's like, come on, death, come and get me. Right. And so, in other words, he kind of went straight on into it. Intuitively, I knew that, but as a 11-year-old, I didn't. Where I didn't feel the loss of him so much then, but I did when I had my own children. When he wasn't there to see his grandchildren grow, where my son can be a lot like him. And it's like, I so wish you could see. I know they are, in
Yeah,
their spirit, but
that's the
it's they're
hardest
not
part.
there. So the grief isn't, oh, you have it in the moment and it's done and never have it again. Or there is a time level. Shouldn't you be over that by now? Or why are you over it so fast? We're never over it. It just goes into different pockets and it comes out in different times. Don't discredit or discount it. Look at it. I have every right to feel, I wish my father was there, walk me down the aisle, see my children being born, meet them. Those type of things were losses I will never get. I can mourn that, but just don't go down the rabbit hole with it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's a valid feeling. Feel the feeling. Now
yeah. Let
feel
it
another
pass.
feeling.
Absolutely, it's right. It's a phase like a passing cloud, which is good for you. It's like a temporary shade for your psyche, and then it passes away. So
Hmm.
you don't have to hold its hand and go along the way. I mean, it will come, it'll do you good, and then
Yeah.
you will carry on with life. So we have a beautiful word for it. It's called samsara. We say it in Hinduism and Buddhism, and we call it dukkha. The equivalent word for this suffering is called dukkha in Buddhism. Well, Buddha said, when you are born, there is only life will be full of suffering, but only glimpses of non-suffering in between. So that is because of the familial demand, the worldly demand, the duties and everything that you have. You cannot escape that, but existentially you will always question the meaning of it all from time to
Hmm.
time. But that's what life is about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what exactly life is
You're
about. You
not
have.
going to get through life unscathed. And,
Hmm.
I'm very much a person is all of our emotions have a reason for being. If I'm angry, if I'm sad, if I'm joyous, if this, that, it's because something is happening in that
Hmm.
moment. Spend the emotion, but don't become emotional over the emotion.
Mm.
Because so many times we attach our emotion to something and we don't know how to
Yes,
detach, and then it
yes.
becomes, and then it's like when you come to it, well, what are you emotional about? I don't know, I'm just emotional. And it's like at some point, you've got to take that breath and let that go. All right, it doesn't mean
It's
you're ignoring the
uh,
problem. You've got to let it go, otherwise it will consume you.
that's right, Sarah. But I wonder why not many people realize what you just said, that don't give so much importance to how you're feeling.
Hmm.
Okay, so that it's a feeling. I mean, don't hold its hand and then go all the way. It will accept it. It will pass. I mean,
Yes, good
you
or
don't.
bad, accept it. Be
Yeah,
in the moment, be in the
yeah.
present, but
Good,
don't
good.
don't elongate it,
And then
especially
don't
if it's
die
suffering.
and dissect it and dissect it. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I afraid?
Right.
Why this? No, don't get start dissecting it and find
Yeah.
out the reason for it. And like you one of the very few people from the West who said never to play the victim card. I'm
Hmm.
happy. I'm happy you voluntarily said that, because there is a tendency to blame everything on your past. That what is happening now is because of what
You
happened
know,
to me.
I have made mistakes in my life, many of them, and I look back and go, "Oh, wish I hadn't done that." Where would I be without? But that's a moment of reflection. And it's like what we have to understand, we do what we do in the moment with the information we have in the moment. When we have that experience and we kind of look back on it and go, oh my God, it's don't shame or blame yourself because you reacted with what you knew at the time. Now you know better. You're not going to do that again, right? So,
Not only
how do you
that,
take the wisdom forward?
you're look, you kind of paraphrased what it said in the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
You said there is no point in regretting, because
Mm-hmm.
what has happened, there is no way that it could have happened in any other
No.
way. What is happening, there is no way that it can happen any other way. And what is going to happen is going to happen.
Yes.
If you sit and start dissecting and then take it out and give attachment to what is happening now with what happened to you in the past, as if there is some kind of a justification, either for your bad behavior or for your bad feelings or for whatever that is going on, it is not going to serve any purpose.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So don't
It's
play
not
the,
productive to your psyche, to your soul, to your spirit, to your mind.
yeah, no regret and no victims.
Most of the people, why is this under mental health? This is so many genres this it could have gone under. But we have to understand if we are suffering or we choose to stay in suffering or blame or shame or grief, we are literally chemicalizing our brain to then cause disease in the body. And a lot of disease that manifests in the body is coming from that brain that has been put under suffering, anguish, um, a despair, and all of that then manifests through the body. But how do we, address the despair or the anguish in the moment that it doesn't sit there and start decemicalizing our body in our mind that affects our body, we really have to be present with the grief or with the despair or with the pain. We have to be present with it. Because if we're not present with it, we can't go through it. And if we don't go through it, it sits there and it manifests into something else.
Yeah, it is like this. It's imagine this. You know the lotus leaf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lotus, the water drop never gets absorbed by the leaf.
Mm-hmm.
You have the blotting paper, right? You put a drop
Yes.
of you have a blotting paper. You put on a tissue paper. You put the 3 drops of water. The water gets submerged with the paper.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put a drop of water on a lotus leaf,
It sits
it will
there.
just fall down. It will see the only way that you can ever achieve kind of bring about a distance between what is happening and your state of mind or mind is to bring the detachment. And
Mm-hmm.
that is possible only through mindfulness or meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really, really do not get this part, Sarah. They teach everything under the world, under the sun in schools from standard one about science, about geography, about history, about arithmetic, about mathematics, and then high school calculus. Do you know there is not a single subject to talk about the world within you or the self? They teach nothing about yourself.
Yeah.
Zero. I am not saying make the students sit and do meditation. But for God's sake, as much as you teach about the outside world, from
Yes.
standard 3 or standard 4 or standard 5, start introducing about self, about the inside world,
Yes.
not the biology part of it.
Absolutely. It's an
The,
inside out life, not an outside in.
yes, start talking about the mind.
Mm. The
Have
heart,
le-
the soul, the spirit, the essence of who we are.
yeah. So
Yes.
if I don't know why, I actually went to I am a trustee of Maharshi Meditation Center. We tried so hard to go to some schools and carry out this kind of a transcendental meditation is a 20-minute simple meditation of chanting a mantra over and over again. So what happens is you give something to a mind which is a monkey. So the
Mm-hmm.
mind is busy playing with the monkey is busy playing with that mantra. The mind becomes restful, and that is where you attain awareness and deep samadhi. Though the mind keeps chanting, then it will stop, and the
Mm.
mind is at like it will be from a ocean becomes kind of a lake. So, but no school was even willing to accept.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do not know. It is about time that the education system started addressing this issue. We teach everything under the sun, but why don't we teach something about ourselves, the world within?
That is in the last 13 years with what I've been doing with these podcasts. And before that, in the in the lives that I had before that, it's always about that inside out living. When we live life from a societal expectation, you're only worth if you have this, you're only valued if you have that, you're only important if this. Um, and all of this if you've got these likes, if you've got this job, if you've got this money, if you've this, then that, if we constantly chase that, we're never going to be full. We're always going to be empty. We're always going to be disconnected. We're always going to be less than because with the real true abundance and enrichment lies within. And when we choose to go and take the journey in, and that is sometimes facing the inner demons, facing the lies that you've been telling yourself, realizing that exterior life you bow down to, unknowingly, that now it is no blame, no shame. You've come home. You've come home to self, to call to the divine, God, universe, spirit, science, energy, whatever you wish to call it. You become connected to that. And that beautiful knowingness force, the wisdom that speaks through the divine, that resonates with the heart in truth, that goes to the spirit in action for your mind to have the clarity it needs when it needs it. And when you take that space, it's like a beautiful, deep breath
Yeah.
of just being present and just being in that knowingness. I know what I need to know in the moment I need to know it. And that's all I need to know.
But people don't realize that how many people do not have ever wondered how the body is carrying out the respiration all by itself. They don't know.
They're in the search for it. They're in the journey for it. And that's
Yeah.
that's the one thing with the over 3,000 shows that I've done. I'm meeting people who are on that journey, that are
Okay.
realizing it's an inside out journey. They're looking for those ways of that connection, or they've been given the gift along the line. They've had a
Mhm.
redirect which ignited the heart and soul into that journey. My books behind are about that as well. And it is happening. There is an awakening. There is a connection happening. But unfortunately, with the outside life still screaming, disconnect, hate, fear, expectation, screaming at us, is we have to learn, as you say, take the chatter of that out and come one with self and listen to the truth that lies within. It does require a process and a journey of self-discovery. That's the reason why this is called Self-Discovery Wisdom Network.
That's right. So, like you said, there's one small correction. You said, if I think I would replace it, if only that had
Mm-hmm.
happened, if only this had happened, if
Mm-hmm.
only I had a bigger
Yeah.
house, if only I had 100,000 pounds in my bank, if on, so it is not if, it is if only.
Yes.
As if there's one miracle that would, if you, okay, if you had $100 million in the bank and all the time in the world, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
So they will have to wonder, oh, I will do that. I'll go on cruise, buy that, blah, blah. Okay, well, for 6 months or to 9 months. After that, what would you do? Oh, I'll do that. I'll give to
Mm-hmm.
mankind. Then, okay, after that, what would you do? So if you keep asking yourself, you will start, you will wonder and you will realize there is no if only.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it is, and it is what it is,
Yes.
and this is
It
only,
is.
it is more
It
than
just,
enough.
it is.
It is, and it is more than enough.
Yes.
More than enough.
And nothing against people achieving and making money. It's always about what do you do with it? How do you see possibilities and opportunities for others? You know, please go and get rich, but share your riches. Become enriched, share your enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
Become soul, spirit abundant. Let it ooze out of you. It's that you've got to understand that the true currency of life is in love, self-love, and the exuding of love.
Yes, love it is. It is the that is the one word answer for everything in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Yeah.
and absence of bitterness, absence
Mm-hmm.
of jealousy, absence of hatred,
Mm-hmm.
absence of anything feeling ill or bad. Pure love
Yeah.
is, and we are all one at the soul level. That is why we India we do this namaskar. That is your soul and my, because we are both holy. It's only the body. Body is like the like a baggage, the dress. But the soul level, we are all the same. We are equal. We are
Yeah,
all.
that's the thing.
Mm,
There's a lovely drawing of two faces that have the two faces when they merge as one, they become one face.
mm-hmm.
The one hand, two hand. It's
Yeah,
the unison. The
exactly.
unison, all right? And if we
Yeah,
can do that with each other, your hand, my hand, unity. I have a
exactly.
tattoo. I have a tattoo on my arm, which is two butterflies coming together to make one butterfly. And it is actually the unison and partnership with my children, right?
That's
It's actually
fantastic.
from the Celtic runes, Gibu or Gifu, of partnership, of love and respect. Only in my wholeness can I come together with your wholeness for us to become whole.
Exact. See this and this, we become whole.
Yes, exactly.
Like the butterfly, it is one butterfly.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
we are one. We are one
Yes.
with this. You and I, we are one. Like
And
this.
it
So
is an abstinence of being self.
yeah.
And that's what a lot of people think. One, you become a human droid, like, the Borg in Star Trek. No, it is the bringing of self
Yes.
to the collective to become one. It means that we're riding on one frequency of love, of compassion, of gratitude, of collaboration, of cohesiveness. That to hurt one is to hurt all.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
riding on that beautiful frequency of that love. And that way you understand it's a collective, it's an
Yeah, it's
orchestra, not just abstaining to one ruler. It is you becoming part of that collective as something very, very important in becoming of the one.
yes. Like like we say in the Eastern philosophy, and especially the Vedanta Advaita philosophy, it's like the waves in the ocean. One wave looking at the other, say, hey, I'm taller than you. And the
Yeah,
other one say, oh, I am faster than you.
yeah,
And the other one says, no, I'm smaller, I'm not enough. So they don't realize that it's one ocean.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
they're part of the one ocean. Some waves are fast, some waves are slow,
Mm-hmm.
some waves are tall, some waves are short. And then the waves don't realize that they're all part of the one thing, but they're busy nudging each other's shoulders, competing with each other. They don't realize that there's one common underlying essence called the ocean.
As there is one human race.
Yeah,
Right? We may be
yeah.
different flavors like a box of chocolates,
Mm-hmm.
but we are one human race. And
Yes,
when we come together in soul love, when
yeah,
we come together with heart, soul, and spirit love, we become the collective,
yes,
right?
yeah,
All the difference of color or creed or sexuality or this, that, it's just a different flavor in the box of chocolates, but we're still
yes.
all part of the box of
Yeah,
chocolates.
we are all in the same box. We're all in
Exactly.
the same box.
So, what I call things that happen to us in life are always redirects. We're many chapters in our book of life. And, the one common denominator in doing this for so many years is that people will get a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, or a cosmic two by four. And sometimes the cosmic two by four is ignoring the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And sometimes the cosmic two by four is organically given, like the loss of your daughter. But it is always an end of a chapter for you to take. What did you learn? What did you gather from this that you can bring to your next chapter of life? They call it the redirect of life. And if we're not willing to, as my motto of these shows are, listen, learn, and apply, right? If we're not willing to listen to what the message is, learn what we need
Yes,
to do with it and apply it, we can't grow. And all we're going to do is repeat the chapter after chapter after chapter and be a miserable book. But if
yeah,
you want your next chapter in life to be more abundant, more enriched, take the joy and the love, even the painful love of what you had in the last chapter, and bring it forth into a new chapter where it can mean something,
yeah. That's
which
true.
is
That's
what you've
true.
done, which is
Yeah.
what you've done.
Yes, we had to carry on. We had to life. And like you said, it's one of the things that we need to understand is kind of we need a magnifying lens to see within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Only then do we realize that there is a part of an unrealized self that
Mm-hmm.
comes out and blossoms only when you undergo grief or
Yeah.
suffering or hardship. So that's why we say that even in the moment that we are making that suffering is the lens to your
Mm-hmm.
inner unrealized self. And you are what you are because of your struggles and hardships.
Exactly.
And you should realize
You come
that.
the polished diamond, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely.
And that's
Mm,
what it's about. And this is where you're at now. You were willing to take the journey of life, the
mm,
exploration.
mhm.
You were willing to see the joy your daughter gave you, and also the letting her go. I mean, how many people prolong suffering in other people saying, don't go, don't go, I don't want to lose you. But what that person needs to go for them,
Yeah,
right? Not for you. And it's but taking them with you. What did they give you? What's inside of you that's made you a better person? And
yeah.
how can you take that forth and that willingness to take forth? And you went on your journey, you went on your exploration, you
Mhm.
allowed yourself to be awoken,
Yes,
right?
that's
And in that awakening, you allowed yourself to download. And in that download, that conduit, you have created something that now awakens others along the way.
yes. Thank you, Sarah. I hope my message is heard by everybody that two couple of things that we give so much importance in our culture, Indian culture. One of the things is also, like you said about your father,
Mm-hmm.
is to be really respectful of elders because of the kind of hardships that they would have faced in their lives. One of the things that I regret in my life is not having spent enough time with my parents, especially my
Mm-hmm.
father. Though I was 22, I wish I'd spent more time with him. So it's
Yeah.
about time that in the West, elderly citizens and the seniors were given a chance to mingle and have interface and interaction with the youngsters. Because I don't think that seniors and the elderly people are given as much respect as they're given in the East, especially in India. Of course, we touch their feet when we meet them. You don't have to touch their feet, but at least
Mm-hmm.
can spend, hold their hands and listen to their stories and take
Yes.
away so many things. So you can not only make their day happy, but you can also learn a lot of things about how to face hardships in your
Yes.
life.
Yes. How did they get through it? What do we
Mm.
learn from it? Inspiration begets invitation.
Yes,
Last year, I put out a book called Our Forgotten Children, which is an anthology around the raising of our children, where we're going wrong. Right now, I'm gathering senior authors for Our Forgotten Seniors, where we
yes.
celebrate their contributions,
Wow, wonderful.
discover what their challenges are, but also what is their warning to the youth. Do not
Yes,
discard us. Do not throw us out. Pay attention to us now, because now is all we've got. And what do you have to learn from us? What can you carry of us forward in your own life? And only
yes,
through participation that happens. So I'm gathering authors for that book right now, because I do believe that no matter what the age, you have these beautiful children that are absolutely soul wisdom, indigo
yeah,
children. And then you have people that weathered life and the wisdom that they've gathered along the way. If we listen and we learn and we take those nuggets and apply it to our life, it can only make life better.
yeah, absolutely. That's true. You are
So,
right.
having said that, how do people get hold of your books? The Inner Trek, A Reluctant Pilgrim's Journey to Tibet, Myopia, A Father's Journey into Love, Lost Sight and Beyond Vision. How did they find that? How did they find you?
Well, my both the books are available on Amazon.com, and hopefully my new book, which will be released April 22nd, will be available in bookstores. It depends on the kind of support that I get from the bookstores, for which if people are interested in my book, they go and ask the bookstores to make a copy available.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now they can definitely get it on Amazon, both into digital as well as there will also be an audio version. So there's an audio book, there will be Kindle, and then there is a hard copy available on Amazon.com. And they can reach me through my Facebook or my Instagram post, my Inner Trek email. So these are I am available on the social media and all the three platforms. They
Okay,
can
so
reach me.
your website is Amtopia, AMOPIA.co. Is that
Yes,
.co or
yes, that's
.what
right.
com?
Amopia.co, C-O.
Right. So
Uh,
AMOPIA.co.
yes, dot .co.
And they can also reach you at M-O, at
At, okay,
AMOPIA.co, right?
that's right, that's right.
And of course, they can go to AMOPIA.co/Mytopia nonprofits to
Yes,
see about your nonprofits, and your own Instagram of Discover
discover
AMOPIA,
Amopia. It's
right?
Amopia. It's like myopia. And what is the way out of myopia is Amopia. Actually, Amopia was coined by one of my dear friends. It also coincidentally or serendipitously, as you say, amo means love,
Yeah.
and pia means vision. So it's like amopia, so that is
Mm,
also a coincidental. So it is just a word that we came out with as a counter to myopic eyes. And myopic, when I say myopic eyes, I mean the inner spiritual myopic eyes, the
right.
societal myopic eyes, which has a tendency to look at everything in binary, to label everything as negative, negative. There are no
Mm,
negatives, there are no positives. Life is what it is. It is,
exactly.
it is, that is it. So don't try to
It
label it.
is just be,
Mm.
right? When you're present, you are at one with self. The gift of the present is in the now, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
and that's where the connection is. It's
yes,
not out there, it's in here. And then the connections you make out there coming from in here, this beautiful abundance that's within you, changes completely. The vibration, the frequency, the song changes. And the
yes.
people you get to meet, and the light and the illumination and the love is just so transforming. So if we want to see peace out there, we have to be the love we seek. We have to be the peace we seek. And when we
Exactly.
become the love and the peace and that connection, that is what we bring to the table. And we're
Yeah,
not going to
be
have peace in the world until we become the peace or the
like
love.
Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Hmm.
You be
Exactly.
the change that you want to see in the world.
Exactly. It starts with us.
Mm.
Then nobody else is going to do it for you. You are
Yes,
you. Embrace you and all the beautiful glory that you are, and ask for that guidance. Surrender to the allow. Allow that wisdom to come through you, even if sometimes you don't comprehend what it is, right? But
Yes,
just put it in action and it will reveal what it's meant to mean.
you can connect the dots only later.
Yeah.
Trust, you trust the universe, you trust yourself.
Yes.
Stay strong and
Yes.
don't worry. So don't have self-pity. Don't ask why me. You'll get
Yeah.
all the answers and connect the dots. Maybe weeks from now, months from now, maybe even
Yeah.
years from now. But trust yourself and trust the universe.
Exactly. It's always got your back and you're never alone.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing here today. This has been wonderful. And, for taking the journey you have. I love people's redirects for however they come about, because kind of in a way, what your daughter did for you is switch on your light, show you how to love, how to, in her limitations and her different ableness, how to be full and abundant and enriched. And in that, it ignited the heart and soul within you and set you on this path of seeking. And now, through that seeking, you are now there to help other people by illuminating their paths. That is the greatest gift that we can give other people. It is that illumination of our own life's journey.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying, Sarah. Thank you for supporting me, for having me on your show. I'm beholden. You're such a kind and nice lady. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Folks out there, we're all on that journey. Acknowledge the journey, allow the journey. Do not look at things as why me or this suffering. It is what it is. What are you meant to do with it? Right? Yes, you can have your grief. You must spend your grief. But now, what is the gift? What is
Yes.
the gift? Step into the gift, starting with gratitude. Be open and ready to receive the wisdom, and it will illuminate your own life and your own path. So until next time, folks. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.